It's 1989 and two cave explorers try to explore a cave in New Zealand. On a Saturday morning, two friends, John, aged 27, and one of his friends, Alex, decided to go and explore a cave. Both of them were professional cave explorers, were well-trained, and also were known for some cave rescue operations in past. This particular morning, John and Alex decided to explore a section of the cave which had some underground channels which were never explored and were not mapped. So John convinced Alex to explore and map this section of the cave. Little he knew death was waiting for them. All the events that occurred were logged by Alex in his logbook. 9:30 a.m. they entered the cave, and as soon as they did, John pointed out towards a huge spider nest in the ceiling of the cave. As it seemed, this part of the cave was never explored, so it's not a surprise to see insects like cave spiders and snakes. John entered the cave first, followed by Alex. It stated in the logbook that they could hear water flowing from the other end of the cave they just entered. This might have gave them an adrenaline rush, and they must have been excited and curious to explore the cave now more than ever. They might have thought just to go as deep into the cave where they could see the water, but the events that followed none of them could have imagined. As they entered deeper and deeper into the cave, they came across various insects, some of which could possibly be venomous. But as they were determined to explore the cave, they ignored everything and went further into the darkness of the cave. They had reached a point where it was so dark that they had to use the flashlights and were constantly trying to shrug off any insects that would climb up their sleeves. The space between the walls was enough for one man to walk until they reached a point where they had to lie down on their chests and crawl. As they went deeper, the walls grew narrower, narrow enough that it was almost impossible to get through, yet they both tried to push as much as they could. They were exhausted and reached a point where they could not go deep into the cave and then decided to crawl back to the opening. As they were crawling back, Alex told John that something crawled up his legs and in a panic started to scream. And in his panic, he pushed the ceiling of the cave in a desperate attempt to get whatever was crawling on him. As he hit the ceiling, a lot of dust and loose stones fell off, but John somehow managed to calm Alex down and told him to just focus on crawling back. After some minutes, Alex told John that he's feeling dizzy and needs to rest, thinking he's exhausted, and they both agreed to rest for a while. John was constantly talking to Alex to calm him down, but Alex was not responding well as every minute was passing by. Little did John know was that a venomous cave spider had crawled up Alex's leg and has been feeding on his leg. As John was in front of Alex, he tried to kick Alex's head with his feet and noticed that he is not responding at all. He tried to wake up Alex and was in a desperate attempt to wake him up as now he's stuck as Alex is blocking his way out. After trying for minutes, John is now exhausted, and as he tries to take a peek at his friend Alex, he sees him all covered in spiders crawling all over his body. In a panic, John pushed himself away from Alex and decided to go deeper into the cave again, in a hope to get away from the spiders. In a panic, John pushed himself so deep into the cave that he reached a point where he could not move any further, and now it was also impossible to crawl back as he was stuck between the narrow walls of the cave. John was laying down there helpless, hoping that the spiders didn't follow him into the cave, as now he was so squeezed between the walls that he could not even take a peek what's behind him. Dehydrated, exhausted, and in a constant state of panic, John hoped for a miracle to happen and was constantly praying that someone finds him. Luckily, after a few hours, some adventure seekers tried to explore the same cave, and as they were trying to push deeper into the caves, one of them flashed their lights into the cave and saw a man's leg covered in spiders and immediately rushed back to call for help. Rescue teams were called, and they found Alex's body and heard a man screaming several feet ahead of the body. John was rescued. John passed away in 2006, and his family members share that John never fully recovered from the trauma he went through. After all, he was stuck in a dark cave full of venomous spiders who were feeding on his friend's dead body. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated for our upcoming videos.